Hello, I'm Mortika Lacrosse. You're watching New Revolution TV. Revolutionize your life. Hold on, thirsty. Had to take a drink of water. Okay. This video is Black Lives Matter versus the Democratic Party. Now, you've all recently heard about the whole fiasco with Black Lives Matter versus Bernie Sanders, the so-called independent candidate. Yet, he's supposedly independent, yet he's running as a Democrat. Go figure. Now, of course, people think that Black Lives Matter should apologize for the comments made during the interruption at the Bernie Sanders rally. But here's what Black Lives Matter says. Historically, all political parties have participated in the systematic disfranchisement of black people. Anti-black racism, especially that sanctioned by the state, have resulted in the loss of healthy and thriving black life and well-being. Given that, we will continue to hold politicians and political parties accountable for their policies and platforms. We will also continue to demand the intentional dismantling of structural racism. So the question is on whether or not historically the Democratic Party is racist and whether or not the Black Lives Matter movement has the right to question the Democratic Party. Now, many Democrats, many of the liberals within the Democratic Party will claim, that the party switched or some shit like that, that the modern Democratic Party is not racist and that it's just the Republicans that are racist. Now, there is no doubt because there's overwhelming amounts of evidence that the modern-day Republican Party, the GOP, is racist as hell. But a lot of people question on whether or not the Democratic Party is still racist or not. And that's what I'm here to answer in this video. Now, another thing that Black Lives Matter recently said is agitating a perceived political ally to the black community is strategic. For too long, the Democratic Party has milked the black vote while creating policies that completely decimate black communities. Once upon a time, Bill Clinton was widely perceived as an ally and advocate for the needs of black people. However, it is the Clinton's administration's Violent Crime and Law Enforcement Act that set the stage for massive racial injustice we struggle with law enforcement today, which is true. Under the Clinton administration, a Democratic president, there was more people that were non-white that were in prison during that time period than there were those of white. I'm pretty sure you've heard of Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson, during, Vietnam, people would protest and say, Johnson, how many babies have you killed today? So, everybody already knows him for, the mass genocidal maniac that he was during Vietnam. But here's something that Lyndon B. Johnson said. I'll have those N-word voting Democratic for the next 200 years. Lyndon B. Johnson said this to two governors on Air Force One. This can be found in Ronald Kessler's book, Inside the White House. But the quotes don't stop there. Hillary Clinton said this to Black Lives protesters, August 11, 2015. I will talk only to white people about how we're going to deal with the very real problems. Harry Truman said this in 1911 in a letter to his future wife Bess. I think one man is just as good as another, as long as he's not an N-word or a Chinaman. Uncle Will says the Lord made a white man for dust and from the mud. Then he threw up what was left and came down a Chinaman. He does hate Chinese and Japs, so do I. It is a race prejudice, I guess, but I'm strongly of the opinion that Negroes ought to be in Africa, yellow men in Asia, and white men in Europe and America. So, some of you are saying, some of you liberals that are in the Democratic Party are now saying, well, Mordecai, that was in the past, no modern Democrat is racist. Really? Well, you cannot go to a 7-Eleven or Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. Senator Joe Biden, the current vice president. Mahatma Gandhi ran a gas station down in St. Louis. Senator Hillary Clinton. So yes, the racism is very modern and still within the Democratic Party. Former Klansman and U.S. Senator Robert Baird, a man who is referred to by many Democrats as the conscience of the Senate, in a letter written in 1944 after he supposedly quit the KKK. Rather, I should die 1,000 times and see Old Glory trampled in the dirt, never to rise again, than to see this beloved land of ours become degraded by race mongrels, a throwback to the blackest specimen from the wilds. So yeah, the Black Lives Matter movement had every right to be at the Bernie Sanders rally, because historically both political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats, have done nothing but to drag non-white people down into the ground every chance they get. Both parties are naturally and historically racist for like 80 or some years, or about 100, maybe more. But the point is, for many, many years, neither party did anything to end slavery until Lincoln. And Lincoln was a white supremacist, big time. And he did nothing for the longest time until the Civil War, and in order to give in to the abolitionists, he finally did so-called free the slaves. You can read more about that fact in The True History of America in Howard Zinn's book, A History of the People, A People's History of the United States, from 1492 to present, I believe it's called. Check the book out. So yeah, if you want to help the Black Lives Matter movement, don't vote Republican or Democrat. Vote third party. Vote Green Party. Hell, if you're conservative, vote Libertarian. But whatever you do, do not vote for the Republicans or Democrats. I'm Mortika Lacrosse. Thanks for watching. Love, peace, and chicken grease.